La Jolla is an affluent neighborhood of San Diego, California, United States. It is a hilly seaside community, occupying 7 miles of curving coastline along the Pacific Ocean within the northern city limits. The 2004 estimated population was 42,808. La Jolla is surrounded on 3 sides by ocean bluffs and beaches and is located 12 miles north of downtown San Diego and 40 miles south of Orange County, California. The climate is mild, with an average daily temperature of 70.5 degrees Fahrenheit. La Jolla is home to a variety of businesses in the areas of lodging, dining, shopping, software, finance, real estate, bioengineering, medical practice and scientific research. The University of California, San Diego is located in La Jolla, as are the Salk Institute, Scripps Institution of Oceanography, Scripps Research Institute, and the headquarters of National University. History. Origin of the name. Local Native Americans, the Kumeyaay, called this location Matkulakshai, lit. Land of Holes. The topographic feature that gave rise to the name, holes, is uncertain. It probably refers to sea-level caves located on the north-facing bluffs, which are visible from La Jolla shores. It is suggested that the Kumeyaay name for the area was transcribed by the Spanish settlers as La Jolla. An alternative, pseudo-etymological suggestion for the origin of the name is that it is an alternate speaking of the Spanish word La Joya, which means the jewel. Despite being disputed by scholars, this derivation of the name has been widely cited in popular culture. That supposed origin gave rise to the nickname, Jewel City. Early history. During the Mexican period of San Diego's history, La Jolla was mapped as Pueblo land and contained about 60 lots. When California became a state in 1850, the La Jolla area was incorporated as part of the chartered city of San Diego. In 1870, Charles Dean acquired several of the Pueblo lots and subdivided them into an area that became known as La Jolla Park. Dean was unable to develop the land and left San Diego in 1881. A real estate boom in the 1880s led speculators Frank T. Botsford and George W. Heald to further develop the sparsely settled area. In the 1890s, the San Diego, Pacific Beach, and La Jolla Railway was built, connecting La Jolla to the rest of San Diego. La Jolla became known as a resort area. To attract visitors to the beach, the railway built facilities such as a bathhouse and a dance pavilion. Visitors were housed in small cottages and bungalows above La Jolla Cove, as well as a temporary tent city, erected every summer. 2 of the cottages that were built in 1894 still exist. The Red Roost and the Red Rest, also known as the Neptune and Cove Tea Room. The 2 cottages have been vacant since the 1980s and are covered in tarpaulins. The La Jolla Park Hotel opened in 1893. The Hotel Cabrillo was built in 1908 by Squire James A. Wilson and was later incorporated into the La Valencia Hotel. By 1900, La Jolla comprised 100 buildings and 350 residents. The first reading room was built in 1898. A volunteer fire brigade was organized in 1907. The city of San Diego established a regular firehouse in 1914. Livery stable owner Nathan Rannells served successively as La Jolla's volunteer fire captain, first police officer, and first postmaster. The Bishop's School opened in 1909. La Jolla High School was established in 1922. The La Jolla Beach and Yacht Club was built in 1927. Ellen Browning Scripps. In 1896, journalist and publisher Ellen Browning Scripps settled in La Jolla, where she lived for the last 35 years of her life. She was wealthy in her own right from her investments and writing, and she inherited a large sum from her brother George H. Scripps in 1900. Unmarried and childless, she devoted herself to philanthropic endeavors, particularly those benefiting her adopted home of La Jolla. She commissioned many of La Jolla's most notable buildings, usually designed by Irving Gill or his nephew and partner Louis John Gill. Many of these buildings are now on the National Register of Historic Places or are listed as historic by the city of San Diego. These include the La Jolla Women's Club, the La Jolla Recreational Center, the earliest buildings of the Bishop's School, and the old Scripps Building at the Scripps Institution of Oceanography, as well as her own residence. Built in 1915 and now housing the Museum of Contemporary Art San Diego. Her donations also launched the Scripps Memorial Hospital in 1924, the Scripps Metabolic Clinic, and the Children's Pool. Ellen Browning Scripps also founded Scripps College, a women's college, in 1926. Scripps College is located in Claremont, CA in Los Angeles County. Scripps Institution of Oceanography. The Scripps Institution of Oceanography, one of the nation's oldest oceanographic institutes, was founded in 1903 by William Emerson Ritter, chair of the zoology department at the University of California, with financial support from Scripps and her brother E. W. Scripps. At first the institution operated out of a boathouse in Coronado. In 1905 they purchased a 170-acre site in La Jolla where the institution still stands today. The first laboratory buildings there opened in 1907. The institution became part of the University of California in 1912. Ultimately it became the nucleus for the establishment of the University of California, San Diego. Camp Matthews. From 1917 through 1964 the U.S. Marine Corps maintained a military base in La Jolla. The base was used for marksmanship training and was known as Camp Calvin B. Matthews. During and after World War II the population of La Jolla grew, causing residential development to draw close to the base, so that it became less and less suitable as a firing range because of risk to the adjacent civilian population. Meanwhile, the site was being eyed as a location for a proposed new campus of the University of California. In 1962 Camp Matthews was declared surplus by the Marine Corps. The base formally closed in 1964, and that same year the first class of undergraduates enrolled in the University of California, San Diego. University of California local civic leaders had long toyed with the idea of a San Diego campus of the University of California, and the quest became more definite following World War II. The Scripps Institution of Oceanography, under its director Roger Revelle, had become an important defense contractor, and local aerospace companies like Convair were pressing for local training for their scientists and engineers. The state legislature proposed the idea in 1955, and the regents of the university formally approved it in 1960. The campus was originally named University of California, La Jolla, but the name was changed to University of California, San Diego, in 1960. The founding chancellor was Herbert York, named in 1961, and the second chancellor was John Semple Galbraith, named in 1964. The university was designed to have a college system. There are now 6 colleges. The first college was established in 1965 and was named Revelle College after Roger Revelle, who is regarded as the father of the university. A medical school was established in 1968. The landmark Brutalis Geisel Library opened in 1970. Anti-Semitism. The Camp Matthews site for the university was selected with some hesitation. One of the concerns was whether La Jollans in particular would lay aside old prejudices in order to welcome a culturally, ethnically, and religiously diverse professoriate into their midst. La Jolla had a history of restrictive housing policies, often specified in deeds and ownership documents. In La Jolla Shores and La Jolla Hermosa, only people with pure European ancestry could own property. This excluded Jews, who were not considered white. Such restrictive covenants were once fairly common throughout the United States. The 1948 Supreme Court case Shelley v. Creamer ruled them to be unenforceable, and Congress outlawed them 20 years later via the Fair Housing Act. However, realtors and property owners in La Jolla continued to use more subtle ways of preventing or discouraging Jews from owning property there. Revel stated the issue bluntly: "You can't have a university without having Jewish professors." The Real Estate Brokers Association and their supporters in La Jolla had to make up their minds whether they wanted a university or an anti-Semitic covenant. You couldn't have both. The issue was overcome. La Jolla now boasts a thriving Jewish population, and there are 4 synagogues in La Jolla. Mount Soledad Cross. Mount Soledad is a 822-foot-tall hill on the eastern edge of La Jolla, one of the highest points in San Diego. A large Christian cross was placed at the top in 1913 as a prominent landmark. It has been replaced twice, most recently in 1954 with a 29-foot-tall cross, originally known as the Mount Soledad Easter Cross. Its presence on publicly owned land was challenged in the 1980s as a violation of the separation of church and state. Since then the cross has had a war memorial built around it and was renamed Mount Soledad Veterans War Memorial. The issue has been in almost continual litigation ever since, with the city attempting to sell or give away the land under the cross. By an act of Congress, the federal government took possession of it under eminent domain in 2006. The United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit declared the cross unconstitutional in 2011, and the Supreme Court of the United States declined to hear an appeal. In December 2013, U.S. District Judge Larry Burns ordered that the cross be removed within 90 days, but stayed the order pending a forthcoming appeal by the government. Art. La Jolla became an art colony in 1894 when Anna Held established the Green Dragon Colony. This was a cluster of 12 cottages designed by Irving Gill, who had moved to San Diego only a year earlier and later became San Diego's best-known architect. The La Jolla Playhouse was founded in 1947 by Gregory Peck, Dorothy McGuire, and Mel Ferrer. It became inactive in 1959, but was revived in 1983 on the University of California campus under the leadership of Des Maranoff. It now incorporates 3 theaters: the Mandelweiss Theater, the Mandelweiss Forum and the Potyka Theater. The Museum of Contemporary Art San Diego was founded in 1941 in La Jolla, in the former home of Ellen Browning Scripps. The museum has undergone several renovations and expansions, and includes new plans in 2014 to triple its size. Geography. Demarcation. The community's border starts at Pacific Beach to the south and extends along the Pacific Ocean shoreline north to include Torrey Pines State Reserve ending at Del Mar, California. La Jolla encompasses the neighborhoods of Bird Rock, Windansea Beach, the commercial center known as the Village of La Jolla, La Jolla Shores, La Jolla Farms, Muirlands, Torrey Pines, and Mount Soledad, to name a few. The City of San Diego defines the community's eastern boundary as Gilman Drive and the Interstate 5 freeway, and the northern boundary is the University of California, San Diego. The U.S. Postal Service defines a somewhat larger area, assigning the community the 92,037 zip code, recognizing it as a historically and geographically distinct area. This unique zip code allows addresses to read La Jolla, CA, and is the only community within the city of San Diego so recognized. Additionally, it is in the 919XX, 920XX sequence used for suburban and rural zip codes in San Diego County, rather than the 921XX sequence used for the remainder of the city of San Diego itself. These conditions sometimes lead to the erroneous impression that La Jolla is a separate city rather than a part of San Diego. The 92,037 zip code extends the northeasterly boundary to Genesee Avenue and the northerly boundary to Del Mar, California. The UCSD campus, although it is part of Loyola, has zip codes 92,092 and 92,093. Geology: Loyola is an area of mixed geology, including sandy beaches and rocky shorelines. The area is occasionally susceptible to flooding and ocean storms, as occurred in January and December 2010. Mount Soledad is covered with the narrow roads that follow its contours and hundreds of homes overlooking the ocean on its slopes. It is the home of the large concrete Mount Soledad Easter Cross built in 1954, later designated a Korean War memorial, that became the center of a controversy over the display of religious symbols on government property. The most compelling geographical highlight of Loyola is its ocean front, with alternating rugged and sandy coastline, and wild seal congregations. Popular beaches and coastal access points listed here from north to south are Torrey Pines State Reserve, Black's Beach, Scripps, near Scripps Institution of Oceanography, Loyola Shores, Loyola Beach and Tennis Club, Boomers Beach, Loyola Cove, Shell Beach, Children's Pool Beach, Wipeout Beach, Horseshoes, Marine Street, Windansea Beach, Bird Rock. Demographics. According to U.S. Census Bureau figures, the ethnic, racial makeup of Loyola is 82.5% white, 0.8% black, 0.2% American Indian, 11.2% Asian, 0.1% Pacific Islander, 2.0% some other race, and 3.1% two or more races. Latinos, who may be of any race, form 7.2% of Loyola's population. Loyola had the highest home prices in the nation in 2008 and 2009, according to a survey by Coldwell Banker. The survey compares the cost of a standardized four-bedroom home in communities across the country. The average price for such a home in Loyola was reported as $1.842 million in 2008 and $2.125 million in 2009. Neighborhoods. Loyola Farms. This northern Loyola neighborhood is just west of UCSD. It includes the Torrey Pines Glider Port, the Salk Institute, and a group of expensive homes on the cliffs above Black's Beach. Loyola Shores, the residential area and the Scripps Institution of Oceanography campus along Loyola Shores Beach and east up the hillside, also includes a small business district of shops and restaurants along Avenida de la Playa. Loyola Heights, the homes on the hills overlooking Loyola Shores. No businesses. Hidden Valley, lower portion of Mount Soledad on the northern slopes. No businesses. Country Club, Lower Mount Soledad on the northwest side, including the Loyola Country Club golf course. Village, also called Village of Loyola, the downtown business district area, including most of Loyola's shops and restaurants, and the immediately surrounding higher density and single-family residential areas. Beach Barber Tract, the coastal section from Windansea Beach to the village. A few shops and restaurants along Loyola Boulevard. Lower Hermosa, coastal strip south of Beach Barber Tract. No businesses. Bird Rock, southern coastal Loyola, and the very lowest slopes of Mount Soledad in the area. Notable for shops and restaurants along Loyola Boulevard. 5 traffic roundabouts on Loyola Boulevard, coastal bluffs, and surfing areas just 2 blocks off the main drag. Muirlands, relatively large area on western middle slope of Mount Soledad. No businesses. Loyola Mesa, a strip on the lower southern side of Mount Soledad, bordering Pacific Beach. No businesses. Loyola Alta, a master-planned development east of Loyola Mesa. No businesses. Soledad South, southeastern slopes of Mount Soledad, all the way up to the top, east of Loyola Alta. Muirlands West, the small neighborhood between Muirlands to the south, and Country Club to the north. No businesses. Upper Hermosa, southwestern La Jolla, north of Bird Rock and east of La Jolla Boulevard. La Jolla Village, not to be confused with the village in northeast La Jolla, east of La Jolla Heights, west of I-5 and south of UCSD. The neighborhood's namesake is the La Jolla Village Square shopping and residential mall, which includes 2 movie theaters. Community groups. The La Jolla Community Planning Association advises the City Council, Planning Commission, City Planning Department as well as other governmental agency as appropriate in the initial preparation, adoption of, implementation of, or amendment to the general or community plan as it pertains to the La Jolla area as well as review specific development proposals. The non-profit La Jolla Town Council represents the interests of La Jolla businesses and residents that belong to the council. The Bird Rock Community Council serves the Bird Rock neighborhood, while the La Jolla Shores Association serves the La Jolla Shores neighborhood. Community organizations include Independent La Jolla, a membership-based citizens group seeking to secede from the city of San Diego. Service clubs in La Jolla include Kiwanis, Rotary, La Jolla Women's Club and the Social Service League of La Jolla, to name a few. Attractions and activities. La Jolla is the location of Torrey Pines Golf Course. Site each January or February of a PGA Tour event formerly known as the Buick Invitational and, since 2010 called the Farmers Insurance Open. In 2008, Torrey Pines also hosted the 2008 U.S. Open. Nearby are the de facto Nude Beach, Blacks Beach, and the Torrey Pines Glider Port. Downtown La Jolla is noted for jewelry stores, boutiques, upmarket restaurants and hotels. Prospect Street and Girard Avenue are also shopping and dining districts. The Museum of Contemporary Art, founded in 1941, is located just above the waterfront in what was originally the 1915 residence of philanthropist Ellen Browning Scripps. The museum has a permanent collection with more than 3,500 post-1950 American and European works, including paintings, works on paper, sculptures, photographic art, design objects and video works. The museum was renamed Museum of Contemporary Art San Diego in 1990 to recognize its regional significance. Beaches and ocean access include Windansea Beach, La Jolla Shores, La Jolla Cove and Children's Pool Beach. For many years, La Jolla has been the host of a rough water swim at La Jolla Cove. In 2011, the La Jolla Community Foundation commissioned various artists to contribute to the scenery of the town, through various murals. Some of the artists that are featured in the series are John Baldessari, Julian Oppie, and Kim McConnell. There are 11 murals in the series, all of which will be on display for 2 years. Landmarks: Bed and Breakfast Inn at La Jolla, the Bishop's School, Grande Colonial Hotel, La Jolla Women's Club, La Jolla Recreational Center, KGTV Tower, Mount Soledad Memorial, Museum of Contemporary Art San Diego, the 12 Green Dragon Buildings, La Valencia Hotel, Wisteria Cottage, home of the La Jolla Historical Society.